Thanks, Chrissy. That was an awesome little intro there. Paul wishes he was related. Before I get started, I just want to play a little video to show you what Dreadnought's all about. So please strap yourselves in, grab some popcorn and enjoy.
My name is Dean Tuck, and I'm the Managing Director of Dreadnought Resources. What makes us unique as an exploration company is that we are a young and hungry team. We're not a lifestyle company. We have boots on the ground. We're constantly putting out news flow, delivering exciting targets, drilling those targets, and when we're lucky, delivering the discoveries that go with it.
It's been great to see us go from having a few projects across WA to now having 5 major projects with Mangaroon Gold and Nickel, Mangaroon Rare Earths, Kimberley, the Alara, as well as the Bresnahan project as well.
Favorite thing about working for Dreadnought Resources is working with like-minded people who are ambitious and like to get things done.
Every day is different. Every day we're seeing something new, and every day is exciting.
Get out in the field a lot, get to work with lots of young, passionate geos. We have a lot of fun.
Being able to work all over Western Australia with a really good group of mates and hopefully discover the next big deposit.
At our heart, Dreadnought is an exploration company. We will continue to deliver organic growth, generate new projects, define targets, test those targets, and continue to deliver the discoveries to provide the metals the world needs for our future.
Excellent, that was a brilliant little video. Thanks to the team at Canning's Purple. So good afternoon, my name's Nick Chapman. I'm one of the senior exploration geos here at Dreadnought Resources. We're a rare breed at events like this. We're usually more comfortable about 800 kilometres inland, covered in dirt, sweat and flies. I should have known there was a catch when Dean asked me to join him in the Gold Coast. Yeah, our Managing Director Dean Tuck's alive and well. So if you want any more information on what I'm about to touch on, then please come join us at the booth. Disclaimer. So I've been around at Dreadnought since 2020. I've seen it grow from a $5 million company to what we are today on the back of acquiring multiple different projects and making several discoveries across a range of different commodities. We're explorationists. We acquire large strategic land holdings in prospective regions. We define good targets. We test these targets in the aim to make discoveries and generate shareholder value. And we've proven that we can do that, and we believe that this is just the beginning. We've got a highly talented board and management in Paul Chapman, Philip Crutchfield, Robert G. We've recently acquired a new CFO in Mrs. Debbie Fullerton. We're primed, we're fully funded, and we're ready to advance our projects. Speaking of which, we've got 5 major projects across Western Australia. These projects total about 14,000 square kilometres. Dean wants boots on ground. He wants us running around. I don't have the exact stats on this, but we could be the fittest team on the ASX. So the first cab off the rank, the one that's garnered most of the attention in the past year is the Mangaroon. We've got 5,500 square kilometres of ground in the Gascoyne region of Western Australia. We've pegged along major crustal scale structures, which are highly prospective for rare earths, for nickel copper PGEs and for gold. These all occur within 50 kilometre strike of one another. We've got the rare earths to the southeast, the money intrusion, the nickel copper PGEs to the northwest, and the gold in between. So I'll touch on all of them, but I'll start with the rare earths. So Luke and the team first stepped foot on this outcrop in 2021. I remember being here at this conference last year, and we had only just put the first couple of holes into the ground. We had no assay results. Since then, we've gone from discovery to resource in just 6 months. We announced our maiden resource on the ironstones in December of 14.4 million tonnes at over 1.1% TREO. This resource at Yin covers just 7% of our currently identified ironstones. The first pass drilling has been completed here, and we'll keep growing this resource as the assays keep flowing. The Gifford Creek region contains the world's highest NdPr ratios, and not only that, Yin itself is the thickest and highest grade deposit in this entire region. and these high grades outcrop at surface. We've studied the mineralogy. We know it's amenable to processing. We've recently gained some more met samples from our drilling, and we've got over 85% recoveries, which is exceptional. It's a third, if not higher, than the majority of our peers in this space. So stepping out a little bit to the carbonatite intrusions, we believe these are the source intrusions of the entire region. We've identified multiple nested intrusions that have retained thick mineralisation. The opportunity here is similar to significant deposits of this type, like Araxá in Brazil, Mount Weld, Mountain Pass. Like these deposits, we've identified rare earths, phosphorus, niobium, titanium, and scandium mineralisation. We've only conducted preliminary drill testing over 2.5 kilometres of our 7 kilometres strike extent of these plugs. Our first pass drilling at the carbonatite extensions are underway, and we'll look to put out a resource in the coming months. So to wrap this up, we remain on track to deliver 20 to 30 million tonnes of ironstone resource. We've got the highest grade material in the entire region, and these high grades outcrop at surface. We're on track to commence our scoping studies, and we're targeting a resource update for Yin in July. We're targeting our maiden carbonatite resource for the carbonatites in September, and then we're looking to put out a resource upgrade on the ironstones again in the December quarter. So moving on to the nickel copper PGEs. Early on, we identified the money intrusion. This was a 50-kilometre long mafic, ultramafic intrusion with these large nickel copper sulfides outcropping at surface. The age of this intrusion is similar to Jinshuan in China, and the tenor of these sulfides, if they accumulate in a massive, is akin to Eagle in the United States. This prospectivity sparked the interest of First Quantum, a large Canadian base metal producer. We've entered into a joint venture. They're required to spend an additional $12 million to acquire 51% of this project. We've got rigs mobilising there shortly to conduct our follow-up program after the success of our inaugural program last year, where these nickel copper sulfides were intersected. We've got 5 high priority conductors to test here to see if we can pinpoint the high grade accumulation of these sulfides. On the gold front, Dean gave us a book, Gold in the Gascoyne. It described the life of Alan MacDonald, a local pastoralist who discovered the Star of Mangaroon gold mine in the 1950s. The Star of Mangaroon was the largest historical gold producer in the region, which graded ounces to the tonne. This hasn't been drilled in decades. Along with these other prospects, this region has been completely forgotten about by explorers. Well, not anymore. We're the first company to ever consolidate this region, along with these several other workings. The Star has only been drilled to a vertical depth of 100 metres. The mineralisation is open in all directions. There's one drill hole down deep, which confirms that this thing extends at depth. We see the Star as having a Penny West-like potential. Our senior in charge of this area, Sam, has been uncovering high-grade gold and silver rock chips. He's been a very popular man. There's a lot of value to be added here. We've recently flown an airborne magnetic survey. We're completing target definition work as we speak. We're identifying the prospective structures, such as the one that hosts the Star, and where we can find repeats of these undercover. So we'll be drilling this and the other workings in the coming weeks. So moving on to a project that's close to my heart. This is the project that drove me to join Dreadnought in the first place. This is Dreadnought's flagship project up in the Kimberley region of Western Australia, much akin to the Mount Isa or the Cloncurry region here in Queensland, with green copper-stained ridges and these outcropping gold-copper veins. The project was off limits to exploration since 1978, so for 40 years this area was left unexplored while major discoveries were being made across Western Australia and the rest of the country. This is an exploration geo's dream. The early explorers and previous companies had identified these outcropping lodes and they'd sampled them, but we believe that the major prize resides undercover, beneath black soil plains that are geochemically inert, and so the vast majority of exploration in the past had been largely geophysically driven. In 2021, we made the Orion discovery. We had intercepts like 16 metres at 2.5% copper, 40 grams per tonne silver, 6 grams per tonne gold and 0.4 cobalt. Now, I remember walking through the head-high grass and I remember putting this peg into the ground. Then later on seeing the drill rig come through and this black tuft of smoke releasing from the top while the mineralisation was intersected. I remember seeing Jesse, this big buff off-sider, struggle to carry the sample bucket under the sheer weight of this polymetallic massive sulfide deposit. Dean, our MD, arrived on site later that day. We showed him what we'd intercepted and he collapsed on the floor of the caravan. Now, the reason I'm sharing this story is because these are the moments that we as exploration geos live for, it's the moments that we work for, and these are the discovery moments on site that ultimately drive shareholder value back here. So what did we learn from this project? Well, unlike Mount Isa and Cloncurry, where the cover is 20, 40, 60 metres thick, our project only had an average of 4 metres of this black soil cover across the entire project. So we realised that there was a dispersion blanket underneath this, and that if only we could penetrate this thin cover, we could then apply the geochemical techniques used across Western Australia and the rest of the country. So this is where the Auger program came about. We planned our first pass auger on 200 by 40 metre grids, and then we infilled these grids based on the preliminary results. We've filled our target pipeline with over a dozen Orion lookalikes based on these copper, lead, zinc and arsenic pathfinders. We've had boots on ground, walking vast swags of this project in front of the auger rig, taking rock chip samples and identifying new mineralisation and new gossans like this one at Thunderer here with 40% copper and 160 grams silver. We follow this work up with ground EM. We've only just announced that. We announced that yesterday morning. Every single EM traverse that we conducted has returned a conductor over our geochemical anomalies. We're extremely excited to get up here and unlock the potential that we know resides at Taraji Yampi. So what does this year look like for us? Well, in a couple of months, we're going to be mobilising an RC rig and a diamond rig. Orion itself has only been tested for the top 120 metres. Our magnetic inversion and our phlegm plates suggest that it could extend down to 500 metres depth. So we're going to be testing the down dip extension of this and the lateral extensions. Meanwhile, the RC rig is going to be running around on all of our regional targets as we look to try and identify a camp scale with 20 million tonnes of copper resource potential. We see Taraji Yampi as an Avanco-style opportunity, and we want to be in a position there next year to be delivering what we're delivering on the rare earths this year. So moving on to Central Yilgam and Bresnahan. Central Yilgam, we've got a large strategic land package here covering 200 kilometres of greenstone belts in the goldfields regions of Western Australia. This project provides us with high priority gold, nickel, copper, PGE and LCT pegmatite opportunities. We have geophysical and geochemical crews on ground as we speak, generating and defining targets for drilling late 2023, 2024. And finally, last but not least, on our Bresnahan project, you've heard me talk about yin and the light rare earths there. We pegged Bresnahan as this conceptual greenfields opportunity for heavy rare earths, having identified the Bresnahan Basin and the underlying Wailu group as a similar geological region to Northern Minerals Browns Range project and the Athabasca Basin in Canada. We did a field recce in late 2022 and we confirmed dysprosium and terbium heavy rare earths. And not only that, Glenn mentioned it before, we also found high-grade gold, silver rock chips, 11 grams per tonne gold, 700 grams silver from the Monster prospect. We've just flown high-resolution magnetic imagery. We're going to target the unconformity for heavy rare earths. We're going to identify the prospective structures and test these structures and advance this project in the background. So the upcoming catalysts, we're going to be drilling out the rare earths. We're going to be putting out a maiden resource on the carbonatites and providing resource updates on the ironstones. We'll be advancing the early stage exploration at Bresnahan. On the base metals front, we'll be drilling up in the Kimberley, testing the extensive Orion and testing our high priority regional targets as we look to define this camp. We'll be drilling the strong EM conductors on the nickel copper PGEs in Mangaroon with First Quantum and lining up targets at Central Yilgam. And finally, on the gold front, we'll be testing the high-grade star of Mangaroon as well as chasing the host structures undercover for repeats of these occurrences. So to wrap things up, we're a highly active company with strong news flow across our project. We've got large strategic land packages which are highly prospective for a range of different commodities. We've proven that we can make discoveries and generate shareholder value, and we have a highly experienced board and management that are strongly aligned with shareholders. So It's about time I head back to site, but whether the waves are crashing and the winds are howling, the Dreadnought will remain full steam ahead. Thank you.